Chapter 58. One body cannot achieve true nirvana. When Monkey and Friar Sand took their leave of the Bodhisattva, they departed from the southern ocean by two beams of auspicious light. Now Monkey's somersault cloud was much faster than Friar Sand's immortal's cloud. So Monkey was drawing ahead when Friar Sand pulled him back and said, "There's no need for you to show me your heels like that, brother, rushing ahead to sort things out at home. Wait for me to come with you." Although Brother Monkey's intentions were good, Friar Sand could not help being suspicious. The two of them then flew their clouds together and were soon in sight of the mountain of flowers and fruit. They brought their clouds down and had a good look at the outside of the cave, where there was indeed a monkey sitting on a high stone terrace, drinking and making merry with his monkey host. He looked exactly the same as the great sage. Yellow hair held in a golden band, fiery eyes with golden pupils, a brocade tunic, a tiger skin kilt, a gold-banded iron cudgel in his hands, and deerskin boots. He had the same hairy face like a thunder god, cheeks like the planet Saturn, pointed ears and a forehead broad, and long protruding fangs. In an explosion of fury, the great sage left Friar Sand behind as he went up to the other, brandishing his cudgel and shouting abusively, "What sort of demon do you think you are? How dare you? You make yourself look like me. You make yourself look like me. You steal my children and grandchildren. You occupy my immortal's cave. And on top of that, you live it up like this." When the other monkey heard all this, he did not deign to reply, but went for him with his own iron cudgel. When the two monkeys were together, there was no way of telling the true from the false. It was a splendid fight. Two cudgels and a pair of monkey spirits, a couple of truly formidable foes. Both want to escort the Tang Emperor's brother. Each longs to achieve what will make him famous. The true monkey now accepts Sakyamuni's teachings. The false demon only pretends to be a Buddhist. In magic powers and transformations, the false and true are evenly balanced. One is the sage equaling heaven of primal energy, the other an earth spirit who has long refined his powers. One wields an as-you-will gold-banded cudgel, the other an iron bar that follows the heart's desire. As they block and parry, neither comes out on top. First they fight each other outside the cave, but soon they carry on the struggle in midair. Each of them rose on his clouds and light till they were fighting up in the clouds of the ninth heaven. As Friar Sand stood beside them, he dared not intervene in their fight, as he really could not tell the true monkey from the false one. He longed to draw his sword and join in, but he was frightened of wounding the real monkey. When he had endured this dilemma for a long time, he shot back down to the mountain scar, where he used his demon-quelling staff to fight his way to the outside of the water-curtain cave. Here he sent all the demons fleeing in terror, turned the stone benches over, and smashed the tableware from which they had been eating and drinking to their heart's content. But although he looked everywhere for the blue felt bundles, he failed to find them. Now the water curtain cave was so called because the waterfall screening its entrance looked from a distance like a white cloth curtain, and only appeared as the waterfall it was from close to. As Friar Sand did not know that the entrance to the cave was behind it, he was unable to find the way in. So he took his cloud back up to the ninth heaven and started swinging his staff again, still unable to strike. "Friar Sand," said the great sage, "you can't help much here. Go back and tell the master what's been happening to us while I drive this demon to Potaraka Island in the southern ocean for the Bodhisattva to identify me as the real monkey." The other monkey then repeated what he had said. As they looked and sounded exactly the same, Friar Sand really could not tell them apart. He could only do as he was told and ride his cloud back to rejoin the Tang priest. The two monkeys, meanwhile, fought and shouted their way to the southern ocean, where they went straight to Potaraka Island, still throwing blows and abuse at each other. Their unending shouts disturbed all the devas who protected the law, so that they went to the tide cave and reported, "Bodhisattva, two Sun Wukongs really have fought their way here." The Bodhisattva came down from her lotus throne and went with Moxa, the page Sudana, and the Naga maiden to the entrance, where she shouted, "Stay where you are, evil beast." Each monkey grabbed hold of the other one, while the real one said, "Bodhisattva, this damned fiend really does look just like me. Our fight started at the water curtain cave and has been going on for a very long time without getting anywhere. Friar Sand's mortal eyes are too weak to tell us apart, so we can't help at all. I sent him back west to report to the master while I fought this bloody impostor here, for you to distinguish the true from the false. Your eyes are perceptive, bodhisattva. Bodhisattva perceptive, bodhisattva. The other monkey then said exactly the same. Look long and hard though they did, the devas and the bodhisattva could not tell which was which. Let go of each other and stand one on each side while I take another look, the bodhisattva said. Doing as she told them, the one on her left said, I'm the real monkey, and the one on her right said, he's an impostor. The bodhisattva then called Moksha and Sudhana to her and whispered these instructions. I want one of you to stand very close to each of them while I recite the band. Tightening spell quietly. The one in agony will be the real one, and the one who isn't will be the impostor. One of them went up to each of the monkeys, but as the bodhisattva secretly said the words of the spell, they both yelled out in pain, clutched their heads, and rolled on the ground, shouting, Stop! Stop! The moment she did, they grabbed each other again and went on fighting and shouting. At her wits' end, the bodhisattva ordered the devas and Moksha to help, but none of them dared strike a blow for fear of wounding the real monkey. Sun Wukong, called the bodhisattva, and both the monkeys answered her. As you were once appointed the protector of the horses, said the bodhisattva, when you made havoc in the heavenly palace, all the heavenly generals recognize you. Go to the upper world, let it distinguish between you two. Come back and tell me the result. The great sage thanked the bodhisattva for her kindness, and the other monkey also thanked her. Pulling and tugging at each other and keeping up their ceaseless clamor, they went straight to the southern gate of heaven, where the heavenly king Vairapaksa led the 4 heavenly generals Ma, Zhao Wen, and Guan, and all the other gate gods, great and small, to block the entrance with their weapons. Where are you going? He shouted. This is no place for a brawl. Sanzang sent me away for killing some bandits while I was escorting him to the western heaven to fetch the scriptures, the great sage replied. I went to Potaraka to complain. To my horror, this evil spirit turned himself into my double, knocked the 10 priests over, and stole the luggage. Friar Sand went to the mountain of flowers and fruit, looking for me, and found that this evil spirit had seized my cave. Then he went to Potaraka to tell the bodhisattva and asked for her help. When he saw me there, he made the outrageous accusation that I'd got there first by somersault cloud, and told the bodhisattva a pack of lies to cover up. Luckily, she could vouch for me and didn't believe Friar Sand, so she sent us both back to the mountain of flowers and fruit to find out what had happened. As you can see, this evil spirit looks just like me. We fought our way from the water curtain cave to Potaraka Island to see the bodhisattva, but she couldn't tell us apart. So I've now fought him all the way here in the hope that all the eyes of all the heavens will be able to see that I'm the real monkey. Then the other monkey told the same story. No matter how long they looked, all the gods of the heavens could not tell them apart. If you can't tell which is which, the 2 monkeys shouted, get out of the way and let us go to see the Jade Emperor. As the gods could not stop them, they opened the gates wide to let them go straight to the Hall of Miraculous Mist. Marshal Ma and the 4 heavenly teachers, Zhang, Ji, Exu, and Qiu, all reported to the Jade Emperor. 2 identical Sun Wukongs from the mortal world have charged in through the gates of heaven, and say that they want to see your majesty. Before they had finished, the 2 monkeys came roaring straight in, so alarming the Jade Emperor that he came down from his throne and stood in the palace hall. Why are you 2 making such a row in the heavenly palace and shouting in our presence? The Jade Emperor asked. Do you want to die? Long live your majesty, said the great sage. Now that I'm a devout Buddhist, I'd never dare try to bully my betters. It's just that this evil spirit has turned himself into my double. He then told the whole story, concluding, and I beg that your majesty will unmask the impostor. Then the other monkey said the same thing all over again. The Jade Emperor ordered Heavenly King Li, the pagoda carrier, to look at them both in his demon-revealing mirror, kill the false one, and preserve the true one. The Heavenly King caught them both in his mirror and invited the Jade Emperor and the other deities all to look. Both monkeys could be seen in it, wearing the same golden band and the same clothes. There was not the slightest difference between them. Unable to tell them apart, the Jade Emperor had both of them driven out of the palace. The great sage gave a mocking laugh, and so did the other monkey. Then they grabbed each other by the hair and by the throat, fought their way out of the heavenly gates, and landed on the road to the west. "Let's go and see the master," said one of them, and the other replied, "Let's go and see the master." After Friar Sand had taken his leave of the two monkeys, it took him 3 days and nights traveling to return to the farm, where he told the Tang priest everything that had happened. The Tang priest was full of regrets. I said that Sun Wukong had hit me and stolen the bundles, never realizing that an evil spirit had turned itself into an imitation monkey. The evil spirit made doubles of yourself, the white horse, pig carrying our luggage, and me, said Friar Sand. I was so furious that I killed the fake Friar Sand. He was really a monkey spirit that made them all run away. Then I went to tell the Bodhisattva my troubles. She sent Monkey and me back to identify the demon, but he was so much like the real monkey that I couldn't help in the fight, which is why I've come back to report to you, Master. Sanzang paled with horror at this news, while Pig roared with laughter. Great, great, he guffawed. Just as this kind old lady said, there are several lots of pilgrims going to fetch the scriptures. They're one lot, aren't they? Everyone in the house, young and old alike, came to ask Friar Sand, "Where have you been looking for money for your traveling expenses these last few days?" I went to the mountain of flowers and fruits in the eastern continent of Superior Body to look for my eldest brother and fetch the baggage. Friar Sand replied with a smile. Then I went to Potaraka Island in the Southern Ocean to see the Bodhisattva Guanyin and to the mountain of flowers and fruit again before coming back here. How long was your return journey? The old man of the family asked. About 70,000 miles, Friar Sand replied. That would be a very long way to walk in only a few days, the old man said. You must have gone by cloud to get there. How else do you think he got across the sea? Said Pig. What you and I do is like walking compared with Monkey. He'd have been there and back in a day or two, said Friar Sand. When the family heard this, they realized that they must all be gods or immortals. No, we're not, said Pig. We're senior to them. As they were talking, they were interrupted by a noisy quarrel in midair, and when they rushed out to look, they saw two monkeys fighting. The sight made Pig's hands itch. I'm going up to tell them apart, he said, and with that the splendid idiot leapt up into the air and shouted, Stop yelling, brother. Pig's here. Hit the evil spirit. Hit the evil spirit. Both monkeys shouted, Hit the evil spirit. All this both horrified and delighted the family, who exclaimed, We've got a whole lot of arhats who can ride on clouds staying with us. Even if we'd made a vow to feed monks, we would never have been able to feed such holy men as these. They were now more generous with their food and tea than ever. Then they began to worry that if the fight between the two sons, the novices, turned nasty, heaven and earth might be turned upside down. It could be disastrous. Seeing that behind the old man's delight lay these deep misgivings, Sanzang said to him, There's no need to worry or alarm yourself, benefactor. When I made him submit and become my disciple, he gave up evil and turned to good. Of course, we will show you our gratitude. That would be too great an honor, the old man replied. Too great an honor. Stop talking now, benefactor, said Friar Sand. And you sit here, master. Pig and I'll each bring one of them back here to stand in front of you. When you say the spell, the one who suffers will be the real monkey, and the one who doesn't will be the imposter. What a very good idea, said Sanzang. Friar Sand then rose up into midair and said, Stop it, both of you. I'm taking you for the master to choose between you. The great sage then let go of his opponent, and so did the other monkey. Friar Sand held one, and told Pig to hold the other. And they took them both down by their clouds till they stood in front of the thatched cottage. As soon as he saw them, Sanzang began to say the band-tightening spell, at which both monkeys cried out together. Why do you have to say that spell when we're fighting so hard? Stop, 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 stop. Being a kind and merciful man, the venerable elder stopped reciting the spell before he had been able to tell them apart. The two monkeys then broke free from Pig and Friar Sand and started fighting again. "Brothers," the great sage said, "look after the master while I fight this impostor down to get the kings of the underworld to tell which of us is which." The other monkeys said likewise, and the two of them soon disappeared, grabbing and tugging at each other. "Friar Sand," said Pig, "why didn't you grab the luggage off the fake pig when you saw him carrying it at the water curtain cave?" "The evil spirits surrounded me when I killed my double with the demon-quelling staff," Friar Sand replied. "They were going to get me, so I had to flee for my life. After I'd been to see the Bodhisattva and gone back to the cave entrance again with Monkey, I overturned all their stone benches and scattered the little demons, but I couldn't see any entrance to the cave. Only a waterfall. I came back empty-handed as I couldn't find the luggage." "Let me tell you something," said Pig. "When I went there a few years ago to ask him to come back, we met outside the cave. After I persuaded him to come, he jumped down and went into the cave to change. I saw him go straight through the water. The waterfall is the entrance. I bet that's where that devil has put our luggage. As you know the way into the cave, I think you better go and fetch our baggage from there while the demon's away," said Sanzang. "Even if Wukong does come back, I still won't have him. I'm off then," said Pig. "There are thousands and thousands of little monkeys in front of the cave," said Friar Sand. "It'd be terrible if they were too much for you by yourself." "I'm not worried," said Pig, who rushed outside and headed off to the mountain of flowers and fruit to fetch the luggage. The two monkeys fought their way around to the back of the dark mountain of the underworld, where all the demons shivered and shook with terror as they hid themselves. The ones who managed to run away first rushed straight to the underworld government offices and reported to the Senwo Palace. "Your Majesties, two great sages, equaling heaven, have come to the dark mountain and are fighting their way here." The Ring of Kwang in the first palace reported this, with a long to the king of Chujiang in the second palace. The news was passed on in turn to King Songdi in the third palace, the king of Biansheng in the fourth palace, King Yama in the fifth palace, King Impartial in the sixth palace, the king of Tatishan in the seventh palace, the metropolitan king in the eighth palace, King Wogan in the eighth palace, King Wugon in the ninth palace, and King Ever-Turning Wheel in the 10th palace. In an instant, the 10 kings all gathered together and sent an urgent message to King Siddhagarbha. Meanwhile, the underworld forces were mustered in the Senmu Palace, ready to capture the true and the false monkey. Just then there was the roar of a mighty wind, as dreary mists filled the air, and the two monkeys came tumbling and rolling to the Senmu Palace. The lords of the underworld stepped forward to block their way and say, "Great sages, why are you making such disorder in our underworld?" To this the real great sage replied, "I was escorting the Tang priest on his journey to fetch the scriptures from the western heaven when bandits tried to rob him on a mountain in the land of western Liam. He got angry with me when I killed a few of them and sent me away. I went to tell my troubles to the Bodhisattva in the southern ocean. I never imagined that this demon would have the effrontery to turn himself into my double, attack my master on the road, and steal our baggage. When my fellow disciple Friar Sand went back to my mountain to fetch the baggage, he found that the demon had created an imitation of the master to take to the western heaven and fetch the scriptures. So he rushed to the southern ocean to see the Bodhisattva Guanyi and found me there at her side. After he told his story, the Bodhisattva sent me back to the mountain of flowers and fruit with him to see what was going on. I found that this bastard had stolen my cave. We argued all the way to the Bodhisattva Guanyi's place, but she couldn't tell which of us was the real me. Then I fought with him up to heaven, where none of the gods knew which of us was which, and after that, went to see the master. When the master recited the band-tightening spell, my double was in just as much pain as I was. That's why I brought this chaos to the underworld in the hope that your majesties will look up the registers of life and death for me to find out about the false son, the novice's background, so that I can catch his soul and end this confusion of there being two minds." The demon then said the same thing. The lords of the underworld called on the judges in charge of the records to go through them carefully from beginning to end. There was nobody under the name of false son the novice. They checked through the registers of hairy beasts again, and found that under item 130 in the monkey section, there was a record of how the great sage Sun had achieved the way in his youth, made havoc in the underworld, and removed his name from the registers of death, so that from then on none of the monkeys were listed. When the judges had made their inspection, they reported back to the palace. Holding their tablets of office, the lords of the underworld said to Monkey, "Great sage, there are no names in the records that can be checked. You will have to go back to the world of the living to be told apart." As they were saying this, they heard the Bodhisattva King Kittigarva shout, Wait, I'll send an examiner to tell you apart." Now examiner was the name of an animal who lay under the Bodhisattva Kittigarva Sutra table. Just by lying there, he could tell good from evil and wise from stupid among any of the snails, fish, hairy creatures, feathered creatures, insects, heavenly immortals, earthly immortals, divine immortals, human immortals, and devil immortals in all the mountains, rivers, and countries of the four great continents, in all cave heavens, and in all blessed places. The animal lay on the ground in the courtyard of the Sinluo Palace, as Kittigarva instructed it. A little later it raised its head and said to Kittigarva, "I've found the name of the demon, but I cannot say it to his face, nor can I help catch him." "What would happen if you identified him to his face?" Kittigarva asked. "If I did," Examiner replied, "I am afraid that the evil spirit would turn nasty, make disorder in the palace, and destroy the peace of the underworld." "Why won't you help capture him?" Kittigarva went on to ask, and Examiner replied, "The evil spirit's magic powers are no less than those of Sun Wukong. No matter how much Dharma power the gods of the underworld have, they would never be able to catch him. In that case, how is the evil spirit to be got rid of?" "Boundless is the Buddha's Dharma," Examiner replied. Kittigarva was now enlightened. "As you two look the same and have the same magic powers," he said to both monkeys, "if you want to be told apart, you will have to go to Sakyamuni Buddha in Thunder Monastery." "You're right," they both replied together, "you're right. You will now go to the Western Heaven to be told apart by the Western Heaven to be told apart by the Lord Buddha." They then took their leave of Kittigarva and were seen out by the 10 kings of the underworld as they went up to the turquoise cloud palace, after which devils were sent to close the entrance to the underworld. Watch the two monkeys as they fly by cloud and mist to the Western Heaven. There is a poem about it that goes, "Troubles arise if one has two minds. Doubts cloud everything from sea to sky. One desires fine horses and the highest rank, craving for eminence at the royal court. Fighting north and south without respite, they parry to east and west with never a pause. In Dhyana the secret of mindlessness must be learned. Nourish the babe in silence and form the holy photos." The two of them fought as they flew through the air, grabbing, tugging, pulling and snatching at each other, all the way to the outside of the Thunder Monastery on Vulture Peak in the Western Heaven. Even before they arrived, the 4 Bodhisattvas, the 8 Vajrapanis, the 500 Arhats, the 3,000 protectors, the nuns, monks, lay people, and all the holy hosts were standing beneath the 7 precious lotus throne, listening to the Tathagata expounding the Dharma. This is what he was explaining. There is existence in non-existence, non-existence in non-non-existence. There is matter in non-existence. There is matter in non-matter, emptiness in non-emptiness. What exists is non-existent, and what is not existent, and what does not existent. Non-matter is matter. Non-emptiness is emptiness. Emptiness is emptiness, and matter is matter. Matter is not permanent matter. Matter is not permanent matter. Matter is emptiness. Emptiness is not permanent emptiness. Emptiness is matter. Know that emptiness is not empty and that matter is not matter. This is what is meant by insight and understanding the wonderful voice. All the host kowtowed in submission. Amid the sound of chanting, the Tathagata released a shower of heavenly petals, left his throne, and said to them, "You are all of one mind. Watch the struggle of 2 minds coming here." They all raised their eyes to look, and saw the 2 monkeys come shouting and yelling to the holy Thunder Peak. The 8 Vajrapanis were so alarmed that they stepped forward to block their way and say, "Where do you 2 think you are going?" "This evil spirit has turned himself into my double. Monkey replied. So I wish to go to the lotus throne to ask the Tathagata to tell that I am the real Sun Wukong. And he is an imposter. As the Vajrapanis could not stop them, they yelled at each other right to the foot of the lotus throne, where they kowtowed, and each of them said, Your disciple has been escorting the Tang priest here to fetch the true scriptures. Goodness only knows how much effort I've spent dealing with demons and capturing monsters along the way. Recently, we were robbed by bandits, and I admit that I did twice kill some of them. The master was so angry with me that he sent me back and wouldn't let me come with him to worship your golden self. The only thing I could do was to go back to the Southern Ocean to tell my troubles to Guanyin. I never imagined that this evil spirit would make himself look and sound just like me, knock the master over, and steal our luggage. My brother Friar Sand went to my mountain, looking for me, and this monster talked a whole lot of fancy nonsense about having his own holy monk to go and fetch the scriptures. When Friar Sand got away and fled to the Southern Ocean to tell the whole story to Guanyin, she sent us both back to my mountain. After that, the two of us, the real me and the imposter, side by side, fought our way to the imposter, side by side, fought our way to the Southern Ocean, heaven, the Tang priest, and the underworld, but nobody could tell which of us was which. That is why I've had the effrontery to come here to beg you in your infinite charity and mercy to identify me as the true Sun Wukong. Then I'll be able to escort the Tang priest here to worship you in person and fetch the scriptures to take back to the east so that the great teachings will be made known forever. Hearing the two of them saying the same things in the same voice, none of the host could tell them apart. Only the Tathagata himself knew. He was just about to expose the impostor when a colored cloud brought Guanyin from the south to see our Buddha. Noble Guanyin, said our Buddha, putting his hands together in front of his chest, can you tell the true sun, the novice, from the false one? I could not tell them apart when they visited my island, the Bodhisattva replied. Since then they have been to heaven and the underworld, and still nobody could say which was which. That is why I have come to beg you, Tathagata, to identify the true Sun Wukong. To this the Buddha replied with a smile, You all have very great Dharma powers, but you can only stand everything that happens under the sky. You cannot know all the creatures and categories under the sky. When the Bodhisattva asked what these categories were, the Buddha replied, There are 5 kinds of immortal: heavenly, earthly, divine, human, and demonic. There are 5 kinds of beasts: snail, scaly, furry, feathered, and insect. This wretch is not heavenly, earthly, divine, human, or demonic. He is not a snail or scaly or furry or feathered or an insect. Now there are also 4 kinds of ape that cause confusion and don't come under any of the 10 categories. May I ask what these 4 kinds of ape are? The Bodhisattva asked. The first kind is the intelligent stone monkey, the Buddha replied. He can do all kinds of transformation, knows all about the seasons of heaven and earthly advantages, and can move the stars and their constellations about. The second kind is the red-rumped mandrill that knows all about the yin and the yang and human affairs, can go into or out of anywhere, and human affairs can go into or out of anywhere, knows how to prolong its life and avoid death. The third kind is the magic-armed gibbon that can catch the sun or moon, shrink mountains, see what is auspicious and what is not, and fool around with heaven and earth. The fourth kind is the 6-eared macaque, which has wonderful hearing and perception. It knows about the past and the future and understands all creatures. These 4 kinds of ape do not come within any of the 10 categories and are not listed among the creatures that live between heaven and earth. I can see that the false Sun Wukong is just such a 6-eared macaque. Wherever he stands, he can know what is happening hundreds of miles away and hear everything that is said. That is why he has such wonderful hearing, brilliant perception, and knowledge of the past, the future, and all beings. That is why he looks and sounds just like Wukong. He is a 6-eared macaque. As soon as the macaque heard the Tathagata Buddha say who he really was, he started shaking with fear and took a great leap to get away. The Tathagata at once ordered his hosts to strike, and the macaque was immediately surrounded by the 4 bodhisattvas, 8 Vajrapanis, 500 arhats, 3,000 protectors, and all the monks, nuns, and lay people, as well as Guanyin and Moxa. The great sage monkey rushed forward too. "Don't hate him, Wukong," said the Tathagata. "I shall capture him for you." The macaque's fur stood on end as he realized that there would be no escape. So he shook himself and turned straight into a bee who started to fly straight up, only to fall down again as the Tathagata's golden begging bowl was clapped over him. The hosts all thought he had got away. "Stop talking," said the Buddha with a smile. "The evil spirit has not escaped. He is under my bowl." They all surged forward to see him in his true form of a 6-eared macaque as the bowl was lifted. The great sage could not restrain himself. Swinging his iron cudgel, he killed the demon with a single blow to the head, and that is why this species is now extinct. It was more than the Tathagata could bear. "This is terrible," he said. "This is terrible." "You shouldn't be sorry for him," said the great sage. "He wounded my master and stole our bundles. According to the law, he should get his head cut off for wounding in the course of theft and daylight robbery. Go back at once to escort the Tang priest here to fetch the scriptures," said the Tathagata. The great sage kowtowed to him in thanks and said, "I wish to report to the Tathagata that my master definitely refuses to have me. The journey would be a lot of trouble for nothing. I beg you in your kindness, Tathagata, to say the band-loosening spell. Then I can take this gold band off and give it back to you, and you can let me return to lay life." "Stop those silly ideas and behave yourself," said the Tathagata. "I shall send Guanyin to take you back to him. Of course he'll accept you. Protect him well, and when you succeed and reach ultimate bliss, there will be a place on a lotus throne for you too." When the Bodhisattva Guanyin heard this, she put her hands together to thank him for his mercy, then took Wukong off by cloud, followed by Moxa and the white parrot. They were soon back at the thatched cottage by the road. As soon as Friar San saw them, he hurried out to ask the master to greet the Bodhisattva at the door. "Tang priest," she said. "It was a 6-eared macaque pretending to be Wukong who hit you the other day. Fortunately, the Tathagata could tell who he was, and Wukong has now killed him. You must now take Wukong back. There are many demon obstacles on the way ahead, and you must have his protection if you are to reach Vulture Peak, see the Buddha, and fetch the scriptures. So stop being angry with him." "I shall respectfully obey," Sanzang replied. Just as he was kowtowing in thanks, there was the roar of a whirlwind from the east carrying Pig with the 2 bundles on his back. Seeing the Bodhisattva, the idiot kowtowed to her and said, "Your disciple left the master the other day and went back to the water curtain cave on the mountain of flowers and fruit to look for this luggage. I found the imitation Tang priest and imitation Pig and killed the pair of them. They were both monkeys. Then I went inside and found the bundles. Nothing's missing, I've checked them over. So I came straight back by wind. What happened to the 2 monkeys?" The Bodhisattva then told him how the Tathagata had told the 2 of them apart. The idiot was delighted and gave thanks at great length. Master and disciples then said farewell to the Bodhisattva, who went back to the sea. The 4 of them were now once more of a single will and a single mind. All grievances had been washed away and anger removed. They thanked their hosts in the thatched cottage, retied the luggage, saddled up the horse, and headed west. Indeed, a separation on the journey muddled the 5 elements. At the demon-subduing gathering, enlightenment returned. The spirit returned to the house of the mind, and Dhyana was calmed. When the 6 perceptions were controlled, the elixir was completed. If you don't know how long it was till Sanzang saw the Buddha and asked for the scriptures after setting out again, listen to the explanation in the next installment.